Sometimes when I'm walking around, my feet get wet. This is a problem, especially if it's cold outside. Here's a good solution. Now imagine that I'm hiking somewhere and my feet just got absolutely soaked. Maybe I stepped in a puddle or something and they're just completely soaked. Like that. So now it's cold outside and I have to walk or hike another 3 or 4 kilometers until I get to my cabin. See, by this point my feet are just absolutely soaked, as though I stepped in a stream or something. I'm just soaked. Now this would be a really bad situation because my feet would get cold and wet and in the snow, and it would be very, very uncomfortable. But there's actually a really good solution to this. So what I do now is first of all, I take my boots off like this, and you can see they're really soaked. My socks are absolutely soaked by this time. So what I have to do now is I have to reach into my pack and get out some dry socks. I don't have another dry set of boots, so I have to use these ones. That's the problem, but there is a solution. So first of all, I take off these socks. These are the old socks, and I'll stick them back in my pack in a plastic bag. And now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of dry them off however I can. If I don't have anything to dry them off with, then I'll just put the wool socks right over top, because wool socks are good because they are relatively warm even when wet. So they're next to the skin. Here's the second wool sock. It's going right over top onto my foot. And now I take a plastic sock, which is like this. This is made of nylon, rayon, polyester, some sort of synthetic material. And the point of this is because it's much tougher than the wool. The wool is going to wear out, but this is just there to protect the wool. So now this goes over top and over top of the wool. And you notice I'm not stepping back in the water. I would sit on a log or somewhere where it's relatively dry and do this, and I would do it again. The second plastic sock goes over top, or synthetic sock. And now I take shopping bags out of my pack, ordinary shopping bags, doesn't matter, they're all the same for this purpose, and I put my foot inside of them and I sort of wrap it around a little bit. I can use electrical tape if I want to sort of tape it on top, but for this I don't really need it for this set of boots. So I just stick them in like that. Now I do exactly the same thing with the second foot. Stick it in a plastic bag like that. Now it's packaged, and now I stick it back in the wet boot. Now I'm just going to loosen the boot up because there are more socks than usual. Like this. It's a little bit loose, and I don't want it real tight. And now I just tie up the boots again. This looks a little bit not fashionable, but in this case it doesn't matter at all, because this is a survival situation. I do exactly the same thing again, and then I just lace up these boots. You can do this with running shoes too, or some other type of shoe. It doesn't really matter much. And then what happens is, of course, the shoes stop the bag from getting a leak because they're tough. And now when you walk, what's going to happen is your feet are going to get ultra sweaty because they can't breathe. But that's okay, because it acts like a little greenhouse around your foot. And as long as you keep moving, you'll stay warm. Once you stop moving, you'll get cold and wet even inside of these plastic bags in your shoe. That's okay. So then once you get to your cabin, you just take the shoes off, and then or the boots, and then just dry out the socks, and then you're ready to go again. Or if you're by a fire somewhere, you can dry them out by a fire. This is what the boots look like when there are bags in them. And see, these bags can also be sort of tucked in like this if you want. Then you can stick the sort of wet pants over top. You don't really have to. You can just leave them exposed. But if you're walking through brambles or something like that, the bags are going to get ripped up. If you don't care, that doesn't matter. If you do, then you need them again. Then you just put the legs over top, and then see, no one will even know.